let's talk about fear real quick. Okay, so fear is something we've been taught about since we were babies, since we were kids, right? So you think of an example like, when your parent tells you not to touch the stove because it's hot, but you still touch it because you don't understand why they told you this, right? And it's pretty much your parents telling you to not touch the stove because you're going to burn yourself. And if you burn yourself, it's going to hurt. It's not going to feel great. It's going to be very, very painful, right? But you do it anyways. You don't listen to your parents and you touch that stove and you burn yourself, right? What happens? You get a boo-boo. You get an owie, right? But then over time, that boo boo heals depending on how burnt you are. It may have been like a small little touch, or it may have been a very painful, bad burn, right? And so we look at that kind of example within the fear, right? Now you never want to touch that stove again. Now your inner child, that childlike version of you, is so fearful of that pain, of that suffering, that hurt, that they in a sense want to avoid the stove. Or once they grow older, they start to learn how to avoid not burning themselves, avoid staying away from that pain, right? And so I'm going to shift it over to life in general, of how fear can keep us from certain things. It can keep us from our destiny. It could keep us from, doing certain things within life that we may have been told from certain people not to do based off of their fear of it, based off of their insecurities, based off of what they believe within themselves. And so we eternalize it over time from a young age, because what do they say? Teach them young, right? So we eternalize it over time, and we just adapt to it. We get used to it. Over time, over years, over centuries, from generation to generation. And we just start to believe that this fear, this pain, this suffering, we have to do this certain thing this certain way to avoid this pain and suffering, to avoid what may not be true, may not be as fearful as we expect or realize. Because like I said, with the first example of, burning yourself as a child, it's like, well, maybe they just burn themselves a little bit. Maybe this child just, got a little burnt, and it traumatized them so much they didn't ever want to cook again. But there's another child that got burnt, and they just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then eventually they just turned into a chef, because you know what? Why not? I don't know where that came from. But it's like the perfect example, right? So it's like, I'll be cracking myself up with some of these examples because they just be flowing to me. By the way, you like the new earrings? And the new choker? But anywho, back to the main topic. So life is what you make it. Life can be fearful. It can be about suffering. It can be about pain. It can be about sorrow and grief. And we can dwell in that fear. We can stay in that fear and stay in our limiting beliefs. Especially if it's being controlled by our own mind, which it is in a sense. But when we're surrounded by others who want to continue in this cycle, continue in this mindset, continue in this belief system, that's what, just keeps us connected, keeps us drawn in to where it's hard to break free. But once you start to go through certain things and step away slowly over time, surely, you start to connect the dots, start to understand, start to make sense of certain things. At least this is what has happened in my experience. Now remember, everybody has their own experience. Everybody has their own perception, own way of learning, own way of seeing the world. And it's a beautiful thing. There's really no right or wrong. You got to think of that as well. The words, the language we've created over time. I was describing in one of my videos that I posted on one of my other platforms about a snow globe. So look at a snow globe, right? And look at what's inside that snow globe. There may be snow, there may be a desert, there may be, you know, a certain type of scenery. There may be a whole city, right? Then you got to think of all these other snow globes that have all different other sceneries, aspects in them, right? So think of that as a world. Think of that as your mind. Think of that as your own world. We all live in our own reality, our own world, our own perception of the world. And what we do with that truly matters. We can break free from that snow globe. And once we do, we can discover the other snow globes. We can transform our life into a different, bigger picture, different, bigger perspective. We can look, it's like going to another country and seeing the difference that resides there, the diversity, the culture, how they maneuver. It's like time change, all these different aspects, right? It's like when you watch a movie, there may be movies that have a similar twist, a similar story to it, but there's something different about it. Whether it's the actors, the characters, you know, how the storyline persists. Everything's connected one way or another. And it's truly powerful. It's truly beautiful. And it connects us to each and every one of us, to all of us. And it tells us something more and more, little by little. And then you got to look at all the things that we've materialized and created in this world, right? Energy, right? So you look at energy and you look at how electricity was invented. You look at cars and gasoline. A lot of this came from our mindset, came from what we believed, what we saw within our mind's eye and our imagination, and how we put it into play, how we invented it and created it. Because we are creators. We are divine. We are this soul connection that is ever evolving, ever changing. And it's so so wild, so wild. But it takes time to understand this. This doesn't just happen overnight. This is not just something that you research. This is not something that you are told, right? You have to experience it for yourself. I look at my journey and my story. There's a lot of things that I've explored, that I've experienced. There's a lot of things that I've studied, that I've listened to understand for myself and to just sit with it. There's so many different aspects of my journey that I had to understand, that I had to look at and really dive deep within myself to not only understand it for myself, but also look at the world, look at certain things, certain perspectives, political views, religious views, belief systems, how everything kind of works in a way. And it's deep, it is. You can go down multiple different rabbit holes. But it's powerful and it's scary. It's multiple things. And this is where I come back to fear. We can allow fear to hold us back. We can allow fear to limit us, keep us down, keep us in a place of, well, somebody's coming to save us. Keep us in a place of, that's not meant for me. keep us in a place of these different insecurities. Well, I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not strong enough. You know, all these things. But there's certain people that choose different. There's certain people in this world that they know that it's scary, yet they still do it anyways. They don't let it stop them. They don't let it hold them down or hold them back. And they continue to push through. They don't necessarily know exactly what they're doing. They don't know exactly how to do it, but they're just doing it. It's like being a beginner at something, right? You may know nothing about a certain topic or a certain trade or whatnot, but yet you take training for it. You learn about it. You adapt to it. You work with the flow to understand it for yourself and how it works best for you. We all are unique in our own way within ourselves. We're just so distracted by all these different things that want to make us one, when in reality, we're not really all one. We're divided, we're confused, we're frustrated, we're sad, we're depressed, we're fucked up. We're a lot of different things. And if I could give any advice to anyone, it'd be like, do what you know. Do what works best for you. And if you don't know, then figure it out. Figure it out as in feel. Feel what your heart desires. Feel within yourself what's truly calling you. And sometimes it's just taking a breath. Taking a breath. Going for a walk. Taking a nap. Something as simple as that. Right? Because we're all on a journey. We're all trying to understand what to do next. What, answers we need. What are the right answers and what are the wrong answers? There's really no right or wrong answers, I believe. It's more so just understanding what is for yourself. Even if others tell you it's not right, it's not true, it's not good, it's not healthy. They only know what they know because of what they perceive and what they see for themselves. They may not know the whole context of the story of what you truly need for yourself. Because remember, you know what you need. You know what you want. You just have to discover it. Discover it or remind yourself. Whatever it is, right? And so with that, I go back to the whole fear aspect as well. Don't allow fear to hold you back, to scare you in a way that you can't. Because you can. You can do anything you want, especially in the world today. Whether you're struggling financially, whether you're struggling emotionally, whether you're struggling physically, whether you're struggling with whatever it is you're struggling with, there's a resource out there for you. You just have to believe in it. You have to know that it's out there for you. You'd be surprised what the universe got up their sleeve. But anyways, fear is illusion of the mind. And what I mean by that is fear is real in a sense, right? We feel fear, whether it's within our energy source or vessels, right? You feel the sensation. Your brain is going to tell you, certain things. It's like me as an artist. I get terrified. It's called stage fright before I go up on stage. My brain wants to tell me that I'm gonna mess up, that I shouldn't do this, yada yada yada. Yet I still do it, and I'm awesome at it. I'm fabulous, and that's what I mean. That's what I mean by fear. and so many other emotions that we hold. It's just like love. Love is a definitely a feeling, but it's more than just that, right? Because you look at fear as it can, limit us, it can hold us back, right? So it's kind of like the opposite of love in a sense. Love is more like you're just flowing, you're just going, you're just abundant. You're a lot of things. And sometimes we can get into the idea of love being a way of manipulating, as in when we feel something for another person, another human being, right? We may feel a certain sensation within ourselves. We may be attracted to a certain person. And you start to feel a certain way towards a certain person. And this could portray as love. This could feel like, oh, you're in love with this person. But it's really an emotion that you may not understand. You have several different emotions. That's why I don't like to use certain words like sad, angry, because we've created these words over time to help us kind of understand them in a way. But you can even look at passion as emotion. You can look at courage as an emotion. You can look at bravery as an emotion. You can look at all these different words as emotions, right? Even fear as an emotion, right? And so with that, some people may look at, a certain person and feel like they're already in love with that person. But we have to understand we hold multiple different energies within ourselves. These emotions are energies. And so we start to, just be so infatuated with someone, thinking we're just in love with them. But we don't truly know them. We know maybe their physical appearance, and that's what's drawing us toward them. But we don't understand that there's an energy there. There's a connection there. And that's where we also have to work to understand this connection, get to know each other, the layers, the aspects. It's like you get your DNA test and you find out you're multiple different, races, ethnicities. But yet you've been believed that you were only, one or two races or so. But by surprise, you're more than that. It's like, oh, okay. So you look at that with a certain emotion. You start to get to know this person, understand this person, and you had feelings for this person. Right off the bat, it was like chemistry, right? But then eventually, it kind of starts to go away. Certain things happen, life happens, whatever. And you start to kind of like just distance yourself from this person because you don't feel like you love this person anymore. You don't feel like it's working out. You don't feel like they're meant for you. And whatever is happening in your life, whether it's financial issues, whether it's, communication issues, whether it's, this person is, not wanting to go deeper within to understand each other, right? You start to just distance yourself from each other. And that's when it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't really know this person. Maybe I was never really in love with this person. But that's where we have to understand that every connection that we have with someone is important. It's a reflection not only of ourselves, it's a reflection of the world in general. And it's helping us understand something. It's helping us connect to people more like ourselves, more that, we can resonate. So yeah, this person may not have never been meant for you, or you're not meant to marry this person or have kids with this person, whatever it may be, right? But you already have. And now you're understanding that, okay, well, I'm not connected to this person anymore. And this is a whole spiritual thing that we base it off of more of a physical aspect. And so going back to the whole love, it's like we felt like we were in love with this person. But that's where you weren't wrong. You may have had some kind of love for this person. You may have felt very strongly connected to this person. And this person came into your life for a reason, right? But now you're gravitating apart. Now you're understanding yourself in a sense that, okay, this person may not be truly meant for me. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's where it's like with force. Fear, force, love. You don't want to force anything, right? It's just like fear. It's like you may be afraid, right? But you still go through with it. You still step up to the plate knowing that you're afraid. But there's that bravery, there's that courage within that self, because you know this is something that you want to do. And then there comes that love. It's like you love this person, you love this food, you love this thing. There's that energy, there's that connection, and then there's that force. So all these things connect, right? So we don't want to force anything. And sometimes over time, we think things are supposed to be this way, that way, structure. We're supposed to love this person because we've already made up our mind, we've already had kids, we've already done this, but you're not connected. You're not registering with each other. But at the end of the day, you realize you can't force something that's not working out, right? You can't force this. And then fear comes in. It's like, well, I need to say something. I need to possibly let this relationship go. But there's that fear that may come in where you don't want to disconnect from it, unplug from it, you know? But it's still doing it anyways. It's putting yourself out there and doing it anyways. Or it's the fear of stepping up to the plate with this person and the other person as well too, and working it out. Even though you may not have those feelings, it's figuring out a way how to reconnect with those feelings, re-understand each other. Because the one big thing is we're always changing, we're always evolving, we're always discovering ourselves, because there's so many different layers to ourselves. And this is what they call date night. You know, getting to know each other, because we're not supposed to stay the same. We're not supposed to, just understand each other. We have to work to understand each other, and this is where work comes in. It's a process. It's like a business. It's not just based on feelings, even though we think love is just a feeling. Love is also an action. We have to put in this work. We have to understand this other person if we want to make it work. It takes, 2 to mingle, right? 2 to have a baby. 2 kind of thing. But all of this stuff connects. And these are just like certain things that have really come through me, channeled through me, I've connected with to understand throughout my journey. And it's super powerful to just reflect on it and share, because I feel like it's very important for us to be able to evolve, to better ourselves, to become a better version of ourselves. Work on our mental, our physical, our spiritual, if you wanna be in a relationship with somebody, if you want to truly get to to know somebody. You know, just know that somebody is not always going to be that same person. They're evolving, they're changing. It's just like age. You know, it's just like when you were that kid and were told not to touch the stove. Like, you're not that kid anymore. You may have a part of you, part of that inner child within yourself, but you have all these other parts of you. You have all these other snow globes of you. And it's so beautiful. It's so wild. It's so cool. Okay. So that's a little bit of some of my wisdom and shit. I hope you got something from it, because I'm that ancient chick and I love you.